Uh, he picked up kid stuff. I did not see where. In 2 minutes, we will be watching NA East, I believe. NA East or NA North or NA West. Live. So he has kid stuff. He has those 3 minis. He has 5 limbs. He only has Aqua. He might win heal off. He has 9 bandies. But 31 builds. He's 2 limbs, 55 points. He has that purple tack and that purple P90. I don't know why he still has the sniper. Probably someone dropped the sniper, but you know, guys, people need to. Oh, okay, you just picked up another limb. Use 31 builds again. Back up. Sorry guys about the paintballs. Using a crash pad to rotate. I think he's a keyboard mouse player, guys, but I cannot tell you he's keyboard mouse. Just hit a nice little 34 tag, I think, on that guy. I don't know who that is. Trying to get in his box, can't get in. Let's go, guys. 3-play system, yep. People need to stop shooting the fucking hangers and all that on there. 38 seconds till we go live and watch for flipping NA East, I believe. Can you just stop? There's 20 people left. What zone is it? It's 8. It's 8th zone. He might win heal off because he has 9 bandies, but remember, this is just the highlights. This isn't. No kids throwing a gun in. Fishing rod, hold it. Kids need to stop, bro. Like, I'm actually trying to commentate here. I think Aqua has a good chance at winning that.
What is going on, Fortnite fam?
No,
welcome.
No,
to
I'm
Fortnite
commentating.
Champion Series. After the heats yesterday, we find ourselves here at the summit, the Fortnite Champion Series
I want to
Grand
commentate.
Finals. After today, one player in every region will be able to hold the Axe of Champions high. The hype is here. We are excited, and we cannot wait to get into things. If you're joining us Party Royale, what's up, everybody? Thanks for having us. We're here to have a good time, watch some cool Fortnite action, and of course, don't forget to use your favorite emotes. Throw the grenades around, purple, orange, whatever your favorite color is. We'll have a great time.
No, don't.
Said, I'm your host, Zeke, joining us here on the Analyst
Oh
Desk.
my god, people are just gonna sit here with them.
Guys, I mean, the hype is so real right now.
I mean, I'm between hyped, excited, and every other amazing, awesome word because we've been watching along with these guys playing the FNCS solos for so many weeks, and right now, this weekend, today, it's the finale.
I'm pretty sure next is the FNCS either trios or duos. I forget, guys.
Means that we get some very, very exciting competitive Fortnite action, and we're gonna bring the energy, we're gonna bring the fire, and I know these players are too.
Oh man, of course we are gonna get into the show, but first, very quickly, do
not
not forget
stop playing it.
all
Okay.
things EU. We are gonna take a break, and then later on we'll be back to wrap up NA East on the day. With that being said, let's take a look at the format itself. Yesterday, we saw the heats break down 100 players, but only the top 25 advanced, and now they find themselves here in the grand finals.
Yes, heats, these were happening yesterday. Now it's the 100 best players, all the way from the thousands, hundreds of thousands that's played. 6 final matches, 1 FNCS champion per region, and this is the format that breaks everything.
I'm gonna go over here, guys.
Yeah, if you're unfamiliar, you get placement, or you get points for placement, you get points for elimination. 14 points total for placing highest, for achieving that victory royale, and that will matter so much over all of everything, but you've got to find the balance. You've got to find some eliminations, because that is kind of some guaranteed points every time you pick one up. And the placements, well, you gotta see how it is. It's very difficult to actually accrue these in a competitive game.
Right, man. 100 of the very best will clash and battle it out. Now, of course, what's on the line here? The Axe of Champions will be that trophy that they can take into game and let the others in the lobby recognize them as a champion, but also take a look at your prizing breakdown here. $80,000 for first place. And of course, everyone that has made it this far will walk away with something, which is awesome to see. And I mean, even if they were to place, say, last, you still have to recognize these are 100 of the best players in EU. Make sure to recognize them for their skill. Here is an overall breakdown of EU. $800,000 available there, and then NA East, which we will be back for later. And don't forget, we have other regions breaking down.
You guys see who I play on East, play on Auto, but it's also East. Yeah.
Dear to my heart, that's Batman. Genius comes in many forms. Whether you're dangerously funny, creating havoc with wild plants, or flooding the island with your best intentions, it often comes along with a companion, Madness. Become everyone's nemesis with the Last Laugh bundle featuring the Joker, Poison Ivy, Midas Rex, matching cosmetics, and 1,000
I want Midas
bucks.
Rex.
You can pre-order the bundle through your favorite retailers, and it will be available on November 17th. So definitely check out the blog for all the details. And if you can't wait for more DC characters, Harley Quinn, Catwoman, and my personal favorite Batman will be back in the item shop for a limited time. Get their cosmetic sets before they disappear into the night. And of course, let's not forget, Joyride has hit the game, and we will not be seeing vehicles in the competitive playlist, so just keep that in mind as we are watching. Now, guys, I did kind of touch on it just a moment ago. We do have those other regions that are facing off. We should probably check it with OCE and see how things are going.
Yeah, I think we should for sure, because the competition over there was a preview of everybody else. These guys got the first taste of the Grand Finals action, and if you watched last night, it was certainly nice. And we got to award our first Axe of Champions.
Yep, the axe was given out all the way towards the winner, and this man's going to be having that pickaxe to use towards the entire next season. It's going to be awesome to see. The winner of OCE overall was, of course, Jinx, RNG, Jinxie Fishy, and total points of 75, the Oceanic champion. What a run that he had above the rest.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And this man was contested, too. For yours unfamiliar with what that means off spawn, when he dropped, there was somebody fighting him, which means that it's very difficult to do what he did. But 75 points. And something else to note about Jinx, this is a man of stature, somebody who has won the previous FNCS, so he was already holding on to that Axe of Champion. He gets to maintain
pulls fresh.
Winners stay winning because his ball from second place all the way down to 10th. Very familiar names. Repulse, Asfit, Rax, Worthy all the way up to second, Zore, Leia, Moose, Link at 7th, and then Fresh at 6th, who's been playing so phenomenally over during the day. Had some help as well from chat, as well as Arab coaching him throughout the entire process. Past that, too, on the second
F2 Jesse.
11th down to 20th.
You know him.
It is the same names we keep seeing, but look how close it was overall. Look at the prize money these guys got broken down. 40 points down to 36. Mounted holding 11. I don't know, which is Volks holding down all the way to the 20th slot.
Such a close competition.
Forbes win, Forbes 30th.
Nice identifier here as we get ready for EU. I mean, watch these point thresholds. Look at how close that is. We will more than likely see this in EU unless someone decides to break away. With that being said, though, Asia also has a champion.
Oh, guys, remember we were watching him?
Holding down that #1 spot, 47 points, no victorials, but 11 elimination, and an average placement of 25th. That in itself is a statement to be made, and now he will hold the Axe of Champions high.
But it was so close, Zeke. Look at the eliminations, 11 for him over 6 games. That is slightly under 2 elims. And you know what? It counts. Everything matters. Tiebreakers certainly do in this case. 3 people tied for points at first place. That is ridiculous. Unheard of. Haruhiko coming in second, and Peter Pan. Unfortunately, these guys fell with the tiebreaker of eliminations. Fram will win the Asia region.
Still, another tiebreaker back-to-back, 44 points, 4 ways through, from 3rd all the way down to 7th place. That is insane to see. Still, that story continues. Asia was so close, so competitive. And as you mentioned, Bala, every elimination did indeed matter. Once again, Rizart down to Riru from 11th to 13th place. They were tied. You go all the way down to 18th to 20th. Wildhawk, Bob, these guys were tied too, and it was their individual performance every game that stood out. So remember, every single game we've watched, every single play matters the most.
That's right, man. And this is something we're going to talk about for the whole time, right? Is every interaction matters. Every time 2 people square up, one of them will be eliminated, while the other is allowed to continue moving and continue earning those points, while the other that lost has to wait. They have to reset and come back into the game with a fresh mindset and hope to earn more points.
These guys have been doing it all weekend long since Friday. They've been playing in these set lobbies, these very difficult games, and for some of them, they're done. They've already played it through, but for others, regions that we're looking forward to, EU up next, and these guys have such a competitive field. Look at the first list of players, and that is just 1/5.
And they've gone through so many different hurdles. We had 4 heats in total. Top 25s qualifying from each and every one.
I see Mongrel.
These guys are at the top of their game, and they're going to be playing against other people.
I see Mongrel streaming it.
I'm looking at Scouts, Kha'Zix, 7-Tor, Mongrel. Big, insane, legendary names looking to get another title under their belt.
Reason was on that page too, the player who won Heat 4 against people like Letwick. Flois came out of Heat 1 with a dominant performance. We're going to be looking at him to see if he can maintain a good start out of the early game. Tayson, who had the first start in Heat 2 with a back-to-back victory royales. And we've talked about the format, how much that matters. His lead was almost insurmountable after only 2 games.
And whether you're watching in-game in Party Royale or anywhere online, just pick a name over here. Follow it through. Find a new favorite player and follow your favorite old ones too. Like Letzi, like Fasroki, Xweez too, who's an insane winner, winning back-to-back games through all stages of the competition. These guys are about to play some of the hardest games of their lives and are going to give us some of the best Fortnite we have ever watched.
The clicks qualify, guys?
And yesterday was literally like a little taste of that, right? And we've seen these pockets of people
get out of my way.
Grand finals. Today will bring some of the best Fortnite we've ever seen. I mean, there's no way of knowing. Will someone break away and hold on
trying to grapple up there, holy.
Pull each other back, and at the very end, someone will cross the finish line. No way of knowing, guys. This will all unfold before our very eyes.
Get away from me.
Yeah, I mean, Zeke usually asks me the question,
who do you
think is going to win? I'm going to answer before you get to ask any one of these 100 players because they all deserve 100%. All the way up to this point. I'm serious. It's anyone's game. Every single person.
Only if I had invisible skin.
And I want to add one thing to that too, because it might be anybody's game, but also think about the fact that one player after all of this, out of 100, is going to be walking away the winner, the champion. That is just mind-blowing to me.
Yesterday we got to see the top 25 move on, and we thought about which 75 would fall. Now it's the 99 that will not make the cut. With that being said, though, let's take a look at a replay that has led us to this point.
Yeah, if you haven't joined us on the broadcast just yet, there was 4 heats to play through. Each of those had 100 players. Top 25 moved on from every single one of them. We're watching the winner of heat number 1, and we're highlighting him because he won in a surprising fashion, coming out from behind and dueling a lot of other top players, and he did it with style, winning a game with something like 5 eliminations, and then taking the lead from there and being consistent all the way through. That's why Advise is certainly somebody to pay attention to.
Yeah, the name to remember is Wave Advise, especially anyone having Wave in front of their names. But just look at the way he broke down every game. It wasn't something under control for him at all times. It was always back against the wall, but always found a way through to win every single time.
And he was dueling against players like Clement, who are going to be here today.
Yes.
But moving on into Heat 2, if you missed that one, this was electric. This was fantastic. We already talked about Tayson's back-to-back, but he did it again with style, too. That's why we have to keep an eye on him going into this. And there's some interesting things about him. We saw a sneak peek about that landing spot, and that's where our previous FNCS Invitational Solos champion came from. His duo partner, Janice.
Okay guys, I'll be right back. I won't be commenting, but you guys should be able to see. If not, just, yeah, I'll be right back.
And it's unpredictable as to what will actually end up breaking down.
There's another player too in that heat. It was Kinzel. They ended up dueling. Also somebody who came out of Steamy Stack, so we'll have to keep that in mind. But moving into Heat 3, this is something that caught a lot of people by surprise. Why? Because Xweez, while he has been pretty consistent overall, his placements in FNCS and other tournaments like that, nobody expected what he did throughout the qualifiers. Nobody expected a second place on day 3, into a first place on day 4, into a first place in the heat yesterday.
The most surprising performance by far, absolutely, and the most impressive in style. XP's always puts himself into positions where he can show his flair, show his aim, and give us a good insight to what shots he likes to take. All these shots always culminate to a win. Just look how fast he is past edits, landing the bullets that he needs to land to be able to get eliminations and then win games close range, 4 people back to back, and he did this in multiple games.
And that's not all. While XWeeze might have dominated his heats, there's still one more. To find the last 25 players, we had to go through one of the most difficult ones overall. There was players like Mongrel in the next heat. There was players like Reason, and those two have been going back-to-back against each other for quite some time, starting from the day 1 3 weeks ago. But Reason showed up again, and even though they dueled and took first and second in this heat, Reason seemed to come out far and ahead, the champion of that heat, and for one reason, I think, no pun intended, the Holly Hedges uncontested drop spot.
Yeah, with no one fighting you down early game, you have a huge advantage on playing the rest of your game out, going for positions, going for wins. That being said, though, Reason and Mongrel are going to be able to battle it out once again here today in these grand finals, and it's the final round for these guys to wrap up their story.
And the important thing to note from Reason, he did win back-to-back in heat number 4 yesterday against players like Letwick, who had even Kit Shockwave Launcher to try to put him down. He does not care and will go for the biggest streak of 2 back-to-back games in terms of eliminations and wins. So that total amount of points, ridiculous from Reason. We'll have to see if he's in form today.
That's the biggest question across the board, right? Who is in form? A lot of these players, they already know the field. They've already scouted each other out, and just like we've done our research, they have too. Now the question is, who will hold strong and who will walk away the champion? With that being said, guys, it is time to get into the first game of the day here in EU. So let's get ready to toss it over to our casters. We've got Clay Staling and Sundown to take us through all the action. Gentlemen, over to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Jonesies, Bonesies, he's, she's, theys, and thems.
Okay, guys, I'm going to be at
first game of the FNCS Grand Finals in EU, and I hope you got your popcorn ready, whether it's literally or the emote in Party Royale, because this game is about to be a blast.
I am ready for seeing all the action unfold. I hope everybody's got their favorite emote out, whether it be take a seat, whether they're with their glow sticks out raving. I'm ready. I know you're ready, Sundown. It's going to be amazing.
Enough from us. Let's take us into game number 1. The analyst desk set it up so well. Shout outs to Zeke, Bala, and Showager. But now we're into match number 1. This is it. 6 games to decide.
If it's my favorite player, if it's Mongrel, then we'll stay. Then I'll stay.
Top player in arguably the most competitive region in Fortnite. It does have the most participants, and there's $800,000 up for grabs here. And here's the initial drop spot.
EU.
And it looks like everyone's sticking true to where they planned on dropping. We have 3 players in Steamy. We've got, I think, only 1 or 2 players there in Caddy Corner. The 4 in Lazy Lake that we've seen time and time and again from Europe. And, of course, we've got Rezon and Holly Hedges, and it seems like he may be alone.
And one of the best comments I think I saw coming out is, wow, everyone is really scared of Rezon. And if you look at some of those early game drop spots, both in heats and I'm assuming now in the grand finals, everyone stays really far away from him. And you can see that in the bottom right-hand corner on the map. Not a single triangle remotely close to him representing another player. That's because he's done such a good job over the course of the entirety of this tournament to stake out the claim, and then also getting a nice little elite chest right there, granting him the legendary burst AR, and he's set to go now. He can begin his rotation and head to center zone. He has those 6 crash pads, which we've seen him execute on so well, and he's basically set to now just farm the materials he needs and transition into the mid game. However, we've seen him go aggressive time and time again with this similar loadout, as now we swing on over.
And you saw how careful he was being. He wasn't taking a chance looting that chest. He didn't want anything to go wrong in game number 1. because that sets the pace of your games going forward.
Oh, wait a minute.
Whether you get out to a head start or whether you have to climb your way back.
Guys, I'm gonna go do something real quick. I'll be back.
Players nearby.
Um,
Not as great as
the
what we
thing's
just saw
still
on
going.
Rezon.
I might
But someone
type
that
in
also
chat
did very well in the
everyone's
qualifiers.
on,
Came out, I believe, got second place there in one of the days. He's got that sniper rifle territory, and he's looking. He's peppered up. He's looking for an elimination. I think he's going to be able to catch this play off guard. Snipe's going to come through. He's going to wait, and he does. Ardent's going to go down. Elimination comes over for him.
Brilliantly done there by Hen to set up that ambush on the side. We've talked about it time and time again, how you need to be careful, but in the early game in particular, it's so hard to really know where your opponents are, keeping track of them. If somebody does get that first shot down and you're not able to react, it can be game ending. And going out there in 96 is so hard, a 0-point game, and now you have to sit back and watch everyone else have fun while you're sitting there waiting for the next game. As now we hop on board, and Candy, who's going to be in the exact same situation as Milan, turns that one around. And someone who's really been playing a lot better as of late.
He has indeed, and I believe we have two Milans here in this grand final. So got a lost Milan and normal Milan, but both of them have been playing very, very well and have consistently been making it into that top 25. It seems like almost every single qualifier. So it's really good to see consistency being rewarded, especially with the way the format is. The format rewards those high-placing, high-consistent games. So if you're able to get to top 13, top 25, top 10 every single game, you're going to start to make your way to the top of the leaderboard.
And that's what the goal is for the end. We talked about so much yesterday how it's, hey, top 25 is all that matters. Well, here, everyone wants to be number one. You have to walk away with that top spot. It's a solos competition. If you want the grand prize in the Axe of Champions and all the clout that comes with saying, hey, I am the best player in my region after the weeks of qualifiers and then coming down to this. And Mr. X, who had a beautiful run yesterday to even get him here. The miracle back-to-back-to-back eliminations, but now under pressure from Rifle, going to get in directly on top of him, but sticking straight to the AR spray. He didn't have a shotgun. That's what we talk about, those early game fights. He just had the assault rifle and the SMG, opting to stick with the AR, and I think that might have been the wrong call as the SMG.
Alright guys, I will be back. Maybe type in chat every once in a while. Yeah, peace.
And it was such a
And if the stream just stops, my PS4 turned off, know that. So you guys can either go watch a live stream from someone who's playing in it, or maybe go watch another stream if someone else is streaming it. Yeah, bye guys.
That was a huge pickup there from Maestro Wolfies, who was the second place finisher in the duos of the World Cup. We've seen him play so aggressively, the young player from the UK, but when he's put on the back foot, it can be a little bit challenging there. Maestro did come through, got dropped down to 48 HP, but don't forget, in arena and tournament settings, there is that siphoned enabled. That means when you eliminate an opponent, you will get either 50 HP or 50 shield back, depending on which one you end up needing. It prioritizes health first, and then they will also drop all of their materials, all of their loot, and an additional 150 materials, so an extra 15 builds that you can go over and sweep up. That ends up being really key, particularly in the mid and the late game now, as we're on board here with a Ventex who takes two really big shots and is put on the back foot.
He is, but luckily enough for him, Fresh does not have any shield pop. Now, it's not going to be as good as he is going to be finding time to get those minis in that big shield pop. And Intel over there needs to find an aggressive push into the box and needs to catch him off guard. If Ventex is not able to get this medkit off, this does not look well for them. But it seems like the medkit will be popped, so he does get back to fighting HP. Under 15 HP is enough to withstand some shots. As Krez is now on the back foot, that's exactly what he needed to do. He needed to turn that defense that he was waiting on into that offensive moment. And now Krez is in a very bad situation. 6 builds remaining, no HP to really work with. He's going to have to hit a really big charge shot there. Dana coming through, not going to connect on these shots. He goes in the box, but Krez hits the shot, and that's another elimination for him.
And you talked about it. He needed to hit that big charge shot, holding it up and punishing the player, and particularly when you see two players box-to-box fighting with charged shotguns, it's really difficult if you're not able to get that finishing blow right away, like No Luck Nebby does there, finding Kira to close out the fight, because you can have... Oh, Nebby, what? Don't even forget my point there. Nebby showing the power of the hunting rifle, showing up, catching 2 players on the outside. However, look in the bottom right-hand corner. A 3rd player is now rotating by. So can Nebby get all of these resources and get out without getting engaged on? But those are 2 monstrous shots. He's got to feel confident there, and definitely not living up to his name. Plenty of luck going on.
And you took the words from my mouth. Nebby with an amazing aim there, just getting what he needed to get started. However, someone who is not having amazing luck is Janice right now. 134 effective HP. It means he fought either off spawn on rotation. Now he is going into the orchard, which does allow him these campfires and the apples that drop that give you 5 HP per consume. He's going to be in a good spot. He's able to really farm up. But Janice drops Steamy stacks. And look at his metal count. It was only 97. I'm out of Steamy with only 97 metal is not what he's used to. And this is definitely impacting his game plan.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough there. Also, tons of players will know where he is, stoking that campfire, putting off the smoke signal. You can see him, those apples dropping, but instead opting to burn the extra wood. Good trade-off there and good awareness of where he was on the map. However, you do see Spen is lurking and trying to catch out the FNCS Invitational winner here. Janus over on the side, and he does. He gets him real quick. That's the problem. Again, we talk about it, the hunting rifle on the side. If you're not ready for it, it can be a game ender right there. You get caught out farming. And honestly, I think that's a little bit on Janus there. You don't want to be on the edge of the zone and caught gaining materials. Like, yes, you did just get in. You can feel safe. You're back up at that 100 health, 100 shield threshold. But you have to know other players are rotating from that side and going to be behind you. And Spen is actually going to get harassed there as he tries to rotate out. We're going to hop on over to a 3-way fight going on over here.
Oh, and now already down to just 2 players. Controller getting into the boxes and getting the shots, picking up 2 eliminations back to back. Flecken gonna fall there, and these are what you need to do in solos. You need to get into the box and you need to finish the eliminations quickly, because like we saw, if you come and you fight and you box fight and you build fight, and more people are gonna come and they're gonna realize that, and you are going to fall. So very good play there from Controller.
And so far, it's been the story of the third party. You hear players talk about it all the time, whether it's your friend or your favorite streamer. That third party is the extra player who comes in. So if you're taking a 1v1 and then somebody else rotating by says, oh, you guys are preoccupied. First, we saw Nebby picking up the 2 shots there, then Controller closing it out with that epic tactical shotgun. Going to be on board here with Ovation Orion. We've seen him pull off a number of plays, but again, really good at kind of those ambush-style tactics, as you can see here, trying to set up a little bit on this player who's rotating in front of him. You can see the map in the bottom right-hand corner. That is the next storm zone revealed, so you can see we're pulling a little bit central. We're just kind of south of the authority, or just over the authority, with a little bit of a southwestern side there. So most of the players will have time. The Slurpy Swamp players will have tons of priority, and Storm Surge has just turned on, which is something you might not be familiar with if you're watching there. So Storm Surge is actually on in every game, but is only activated when you're above a certain number of players left. That number of players for the third zone is 70. So with 83 players currently left, 13 will be impacted. What it does is those who haven't done enough damage to the opposing players will then take 25 damage every 10 seconds. This is to try and encourage a little bit of active play, which we see here from Orion taking out Queasy, who's going to be queasy about that, just being game ended right there before the rotation occurs, not picking up any points in that match.
And what a smart play. He went in different angles and didn't just crash pad off the top, because he knew Queasy would have been expecting that, and found an angle, got in the box, got the elimination. That also, with Storm Surge, it causes people to make plays like that. Arion may have decided that, you know what, a couple tags were good, I'm good to go, move on. Because I put him pretty high up in the Storm Surge, but he didn't want to take the chance. He wanted to make sure he was above at least 100 damage on the threshold. So he decided, I got to go in, I got to get in the box, because when Storm Surge starts hitting you, nobody's going to let you shoot them. No one's going to let you even look at them. They're going to be sitting in their boxes. They're going to sit there and wait and not even open windows, not even make any movements, because they know, hey, that guy's getting hit by a big purple lightning bolt. We can't attack him. Well, all of a sudden, Phoenix is actually going in, but maybe a little bit of a misplace, he gets eliminated.
Gets punished right away, and Tigwe has everything you could possibly want for a box fight there. I mean, just look at the loadout, having the epic tactical shotgun, the epic burst AR, crash pads, plenty of shields. So Phoenix might have felt a little pressure to go in and create some space, but T-Way punishing very succinctly there as now we swing on board. Milan, Seventor, Kiko, and Anas all directly on top of each other. They become legends. Anas has played incredibly well. Clement also joining in on the party, and this is what we talk about, that Storm Surge. All the players who below, Anas being one of them, are going to be forced to find tags. That damage is going to start coming through. He's going to need to convert on it, and he converts brilliantly there, picking up Supremacy's Clement in number 1 elimination, and also closing in on that first placement threshold, Clay.
It was such a beautiful play by Anas because he knew Clement had that bush. He said, you know what, he's going to go for the pickaxe. I'm just going to go ahead and edit that wall out so he can get the initial shot, and that got him the elimination. That initial shot there gave him the damage just to follow up with another tack shot, and with that rare tactical shotgun, it does a lot of damage if you're able to hit all the pellets, and that's exactly what he did. Now, on his way, he got the pepper placement threshold, just came through as well, and now he's moving in. He's got a very great loadout to secure himself a very good placement here, and we know Anas is very, very capable, like you talked about, and he's already stalking another player. He's looking to take down AX Controller.
Yeah, and that's Controller 007 from the FNCS Invitational. We saw him have a number of really solid performances. Still need 3 players to go down from that Storm Surge threshold, but Anas just trying to kind of follow in this rotation path, get as close to center of zone. So if you're kind of new to watching competitive Fortnite, joining for the first time in Party Royale or Twitch or YouTube or Twitter or WatchFortnite.com, what do you care about as you're watching this game as Anas will take it down, or what are you looking for? Mongrel and Thomas HD also picking up eliminations to put us below the Storm Surge threshold. The first thing is whether or not people are picking up eliminations. You can see that to the right of the player's name that's right next to kind of the little mark there. And that will represent 1 point every single time as they go through. Additionally, you're worried about them picking up placement points. In this format, the first one occurs after 25 players have gone down, then the next one occurs after 50 players have gone down, then it's every 10 and 5 players. So when somebody ends up falling in 41st or 31st or 26th, that's a huge changeover. But now, during the middle part of the game, as everyone's rotating through, what they're looking to do is establish space for themselves, make sure they're safe, and then find tags so they're not threatened by that Storm Surge that we were talking about ahead of time. As now we hop on board here with MCS like Squeezy, who has placed top 25 in 78% of his games this FNCS, best in the EU, and that's something to contrast with the fact that he also plays really aggressive in the early and the mid game. If he gets caught out and he's able to convert, he's had some of the highest elimination totals throughout the entirety of the FNCS, Clay.
And I was going to say, I'm surprised he's not going into this player's box that's literally just fishing in front of him. Someone else tried it, and he's waiting. You can tell he wants to get into this box. As soon as he sees that player start to make moves into the other box, or maybe he finds out exactly where they are, he wants to go in. But he's got Letwick right above him, so you can tell he's being a little bit more cautious this time around. In the heat and the qualifiers, he knew he had a little bit of leeway after that great performance that he had. He was able to play a little bit more aggressive and still get top 25, which is insanely impressive. Now, the biggest impact of the game right now is going to be this Kit Shockwave launcher in Thomas HD's inventory. He's already got the elimination because of it. He's also already near the next zone. He doesn't have to rotate very far, which is really good for him because he only has 94 material.
He only has 94 materials, and he's right by the priority on high zone. This is the 4th zone, which means it's the last safe zone that's completely inside the current safe zone. After that, the 5th one will be the half in, half out, which kind of signals the transition into the end game as Thomas helps end Sebi's game there. He's going to be sent back and have to queue up after that, and Thomas hits him with a favorite emote. Hey, if you got that emote and you're in Party Royale, mimic it right now. Let Thomas know you're with him and sending him the aid, because he has a really good shot to ride this game out with where he's positioned, because after the 4th zone, you don't want to head super central. So all of a sudden, if that half in, half out zone pulls to the south and is on this high ground, and he has all the Shockwave launcher plus a launch pad plus the Mythic Charge shotgun, it's going to be really difficult to force him out of a priority position. He's going to be somebody to watch over the course of this game who's going to impact the other players around him.
And he's already doing that just with his AR. He impacted Sebi. He's going to take down passive. And this is very, very good for him because he doesn't have to go too aggressive to get these eliminations. They're kind of being handed to him here as he's just taking a grasp of his surroundings, looking at every possible angle and getting eliminations. And speaking of that, Mr. Savage going to pick up an elimination there onto for Strokey.
Yeah, and you can see that action kind of being driven as players are forced to rotate in and start to get priority position, because it's not only just about being safe here, it's about establishing yourself for the next rotation, because that half in, half out is so important in terms of priority. But right now, Reason is 5 below the damage threshold. So once this zone clears, he'll start ticking. You want to keep an eye on the top left and then the bottom right-hand corner. That number will need to drop down to 50 players before Storm Surge turns off. And if anybody we're watching is below the threshold, they'll start taking that 25 damage every 10 seconds. And Reason just able to get himself above it with a nice tag there, and he's starting to get aggressive. We talk about the utility of the crash pads. We saw it in the package beforehand in Ball and Child.
Okay, guys, I'm back. Look for Skateboard, right?
And he gets Heat C there. It's a huge elimination as well, because he pulled that half in, half out zone we talked about. Everyone who banked on it being up on the high ground saying, hey, if it pulls up here, I can win the game. Well, they were wrong. It pulled away from them, and they'll be the ones who have to rotate as we hit top 50, meaning Storm Surge turns off, second round of placement points goes through, and everyone is going to be rotating.
You saw Savage just waiting with that edit open. He was looking for any possible angle to pick up an elimination. Lois as well. He's kind of fashioned himself a little bit of a base here that's got these pyramids edited in a nice way so we can see down on players rotating. And this is where you want to be. If you do pull half in, half out, you want to be looking for players. You don't want to be exposed, because obviously that you could get sniped like Lois might do here. Some people, Mongrel picks up an elimination as well, so he's still here in this game and still fighting as well. As Lois is trying to snipe somebody out of the sky and was not able to hit it, but a valiant effort.
Valiant effort, but just a little wide. Might have given him a haircut, but not going to connect. No Storm Surge tags in play there as we see Kami pick up a huge elim. Flo's trying to get involved here. Finds the first attack shot. Gets the second onto Vadil, who had picked up Savage. So Savage, again, going down early, only picking up an elim and the 2 placement thresholds. 3 points for him there. As we continue through, you can see Flois and Scribs still in. Helix as well. Skype, one of the now veterans, and they call them boomers in the lobby. 3 players in EU are 20 years old, and that is the oldest players who are in the match. But Skype has been around and qualified for nearly every one of these finals. But we're hopping on board here with Quartz Froggy, who had an absurd, just absolutely gross run in heat number 2 to qualify himself. Pushed himself, I believe it was I think it was like 19 or 20 points in the final game to get here. But so far, quiet on the day. No eliminations, but a decent loadout as we now transition into those fully moving zones, which means all the safe zones are outside, completely away from the current one, and everyone is going to have to move if they want to avoid that storm damage.
And luckily for him, it seems like it's pulling towards him, so he doesn't have to invest those crash pads right away. He can look for eliminations, as you see sitting in the cone, allows him that opportunity to find these rotations as well. You see just bouncing away through the crash pads, doesn't have to worry about it. A squeeze is going to fall there in the feed. That's an important one to note there, because we talked about it, we hyped him up, falling down before that 40th placement threshold as well. He's not going to end on a lot of points. The question is, how many points can Froggy end up on? How many points can the rest of the lobby end up on as this game continues to go on? We see Kiriachi, we see Mongrel, we see Letwick there in your screen as well. And Froggy looks to have taken high ground with that. The shots go through. He's going to get that player down to low HP. It's Cammy going down. What a huge pickup there by Froggy, but he's not done yet. There's another player on the other side. So he does disengage.
Is
so
he
does have that to build around with. And to just
yeah, perfect timing.
It seems he's content on focusing around high ground.
Yeah, and Benji and Hen also picking up a pair
again
of there in the feed as we close in on the next placement threshold. It'll be top 30, and then every 5 players going down.
Crap.
Storm Surge will also turn off his top 30, and we're closing in on it. There it is. Scouts picking up a pair to make sure he gets there. That's ADN and Diablo, who we saw yesterday going down. Thomas also goes down.
Yes!
Become Legends Rifle picks up Benji Fishy.
I'm in my room!
Hey
guys, this is gonna be it. I'm not ending the stream. Oh shoot, I messed it up.
How much work he can do on the mid-ground tarp here, and he's continuing to run through with that charged shotgun. Picks up scouts as well, and we're in through another placement threshold. So this is what happens as we start getting in the moving circles. All the action for it, so keep an eye.
Kid, stop your default. You're a bot. We get it.
Priority on the low ground, and then everyone else is the tarp in between. But Hen and Reason are still up on the mid tarp.
I think Flois was able to pick
Hey guys, go. Good angle, I guess. Alright, so I'm gonna eat. I'll be right back. Peace.
He's gonna fall there on the backside. Rezon still in this game, getting eliminations. Hid Staying on 4. Crash Pad will come out here for hit. He does have a lot of materials left. Carrot picking up 3 eliminations there on the backside. As shots come through on the hit, he is going to be able to block it off. And the capitalization there on the Stacey will be good as he realized already losing HP. Kinsel going to take down a player there as well. Anas going to fall. Lois does have what it seems like a Crash Pad to maintain high ground, but Bad Sniper coming up. Decepto's coming up as well. Everybody is coming up for high ground. Rezon just trying to make it through.
And everyone pushing for the high ground right now, but not necessarily paying attention to what's going down the low ground where people are cleaning up on eliminations. You have Flois in your top right, Froggy in your bottom right, everyone else on the wide. You can see Flois is up on that ultimate high ground. Deceptos in hand down on that low ground with Rezon just above them. Froggy waiting for his opportunity, but keep an eye on the number of builds because we're getting down to the final one. Flois going to pick up an elimination there, and he's doing a really good job at just maintaining that high ground control as we're closing in on our top 5. One more player will go down, and then it's all about getting to the top 3. Boom, we have it. Letwick, Bad Sniper, Froggy, Hen, and Flois, top 5 in game number 1.
And Flois looking to close it out 4 eliminations, but Froggy down below, you cannot count him out yet. He is right there. If he takes down Flois from below, that'll be so huge for him because he will get that shockwave launcher, get that mat refresh. Letwick's very, very low. More likely going to be edited down. The shots come through, but no, Flois going to be able to take him down. Froggy gets down hid. In the meantime, 1v1 Froggy versus Flois. A shockwave launcher up above. Froggy trying to dodge him. Flois sending him down. He's trying to, but he's running out of mats. 15 builds remaining, and Froggy does not look like he's stopping anytime soon. Going out in the zone, taking some damage. Going to shockwave himself down. Little Mitro classic. Shotgun does come through. The shockwave is going to send him flying. Shots come through. Flois is going to get the beam, and he takes down Froggy for the victory royale.
Really, really good job from Flois executing on the top-down push with the mythic weaponry, but more importantly, showing the versatility of that shockwave launcher, launching himself down and then finding a gap to launch the opponent out, tracking him, and picking it up with the AR. Match number 1 is done. Fury Flois taking home the victory royale, but we'll see where the leaderboard shakes out. We're going to toss it back on over to Zeke, Shayo, and Bala.
Man, a strong start here in EU, really coming out with a nice flow. Flois finding himself the victory royale. Guys, this final fight between Froggy and Flois, both players walk into that 1v1 with 5 eliminations. The elim and the victory royale is going to be that 4-point swing. This is gonna be a good tone setting for the rest of the competition.
We saw it in every region, right? 1 point matters, and that's a 4-point difference for that win and the elim. The coolest thing, though, to me was the versatility for Flois and how he was playing every single engagement differently and using his entire kit to be able to hold first overall in Europe right now. 6 eliminations, 20 points, and that victory royale.
Yeah, but there's also other people lurking near too, and with only the first game, don't forget there's 6. People are starting to establish themselves. I see Hen in 3rd place right now with 15 points, a sign that he could actually be on that hot streak. Hen, a very hot and cold player. Letwick, though, played significantly well yesterday, and he's there again in towards the top placements, and also with a couple elims to put himself in 4th place, but Kinsel too. And then the rest of this, I think, is kind of maybe a little different than what we might expect in towards the end of the day. You have Carrot, you had Deceptos, you had Anas. I mean, there are some of these guys who have the potential to win for sure, but I don't know if that's quite it yet.
Yeah, I think at the top, I mean, obviously this is such a strong start. 20 points for Flois. Now, he's off the line, but he needs to take that next step and turn this into a full-on sprint toward the end. Is this the momentum he needs to do this, though?
Yeah, I mean, for all the people over here, that's the same kind of question, right? And if you haven't seen the standings leaderboard before, the eliminations are the total overall over the 6 games we're playing, as well as the points. And that's a combination of the placement and elims these guys have. So Letshi got 5 points of placement that game in 22nd place, and 2 eliminations. That's 1 point each. But for these guys, they're kind of sitting at 30th place. They don't have to go for a top 25 anymore. No one has to go for top 50. Everyone here is focused on that win, and they're just slightly behind. Still, though, really hot off the gate.
Yeah, there's a lot of different things that people have to figure out on this first game. There are a lot of things and changes to what people might have been expecting. The plan, Zeke, you talked earlier about how these guys are all starting to do their research and whatnot. It shifts a little bit in grand finals. People start to make decisions and play with the mind a little bit of each other to, force things that you might not be comfortable with.
A lot of that is going to dictate that drop spot, right? And how that could, I mean, we're talking about 100 of the very best in the world. If I'm going somewhere and my peer is going somewhere that I'm used to playing with and against, that is going to dictate my play and theirs.
I mean, it always starts from the early game, right? Just in general, the entire tournament, from game number 1, your mentality is set in if you do well, if you do bad, and now everyone has different expectations. If you're like Flowis, you're at the top spot, you guys mentioned it. Now it's a game of endurance, of holding it and not faltering when things go bad.
And in the grand finals, we have seen tournament after tournament. Being uncontested increases your chances of winning tournaments by tenfold, if not more than that. So being uncontested means you have nobody landing with you. You might be familiar with landing in a hot spot. You don't want to be doing that in grand finals or in set lobbies at all.
Yeah, the opposite of that is contested when someone is there. And Mr. Savage and Noah Riley are side by side at the yacht on the northern side of the map. 2 other big names all the way at Slippery Swamp, Kiriachi and then Benji Fishy.
Noah Riley was not supposed to go to the yacht with Mr. Savage. Mr. Savage had thought that he had done enough to force nobody to land with him throughout the heats. But you know what changes now for Benji is that Noah was going to be landing in the same main building. And of course, Noah did not want to do that challenge. One of the best players in the world at off-spawn fighting did not want to challenge Benji whatsoever. He'll leave what success he had throughout the qualifiers to end up going against Mr. Savage?
I mean, now it's going to be even harder, I think, for Noah Riley all the way up at the yacht. For Benji, even freer. But how did that look in game number 1, right? We're talking about these names, and we missed one of the biggest ones from the first game, Flowis, who ended up getting the Shockwave loot. Didn't start with it, though. He was at the Orchard.
And a big difference from what we've seen for Flowis, because usually it is the Shockwave loot that he's going for in the early game. That's why he got to this spot, but it doesn't matter. He'll grab it anyways, and he's even contested the Orchard. So all I said, Zeke, about being contested, reducing your chances of winning in grand finals, kind of shifts when you see what Flowis just did, and it doesn't matter where you land. You could always stumble across Kit's Shockwave launcher.
And this is kind of like talking about the quality of the players we're seeing, right? Like, yes, of course, we have mythic items to play around, but for someone like Flowis, it's like if he's going to walk up and he's going to take a fight and eliminate you, and that loot's just going to be put in his hands, it's like, okay, I'm already good. I'm already at a 10. You're just giving me that loot and now making me an 11.
Yeah, and also to think about other people who usually have that opportunity to make it through. There was a lot of the big names. I mean, Janice fell off spawn, which you did not expect for him landing at Steamy Stacks with 2 players who play kind of passively in that. He got sniped. There was also a number of different people who fell in the mid game.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing and the number 1 word for all these players right now is momentum, right? Flowis finding that Shockwave launcher gives them a bunch. Janice getting taken out, as Bala just mentioned, stops the momentum overall, right? So in game number 2, these guys have to find a way to rev their engines faster and then get ahead of everyone else with momentum.
Oh, man, a lot of momentum here to start the day. Now, guys, I do want to continue, but I'm getting word the games are ready. So let's get ready to hop into game number 2 here of the Fortnite Champion Series in Europe. Let's see if the action continues. Sundown, Clay, let's send it back your way.
Thank you so much, Zeke, Shio, and Bala. And I mean, I'm just so excited to see, because I'm a personal fan, or like I'm a advocate for the fact that game 1 is a nice way to set the tone, but you really get an idea of how the leaderboard and how the lobbies are going to play after game 2, because particularly with solos, it's about consistency and who's able to turn over a performance from one game to the next and continue it rolling, and you're really able to see that going down in the second match.
And into the third as well. If you're able to bounce back in that third and you really, really submit yourself at the top, you got a chance in that 4th, 5th, and 6th game to really turn online. Benji, somebody who definitely needs to turn online, but Savage is going to go down to Noah Riley in the feed. So the contestant happened, and Savage unfortunately falling. Looks like Benji is trying to take down Kiriachi in the time being.
Yeah, Benji trying to set up one of those ambushes here on the side. You can see him trying to pick up Kiriachi as he's going right for those slurp jugs. He is going to find the initial burst shots there, opting not to use that sniper rifle and instead closing the gap on him as fast as possible. We'll see if he's able to get it. White Tag's coming through, using the tac shotgun and the high rate of fire to push through the box. And well done, Benji. We talked about the contestant over there, and he says, 0 out of 10 for the effort. The Russian judge doesn't even give him a point. Benji taking it down there, and that's 2 elims right off in the start for him there. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, the 2 most contested areas are Rig and Salty Springs, each with 5+ players right now. So a lot of space being pushed out, and it's interesting to see 5 players in Salty. I mean, effectively, you're all taking one house of loot and saying, I hope this is enough.
Yeah, I don't know why 5 players are there. And I think it has to do something with Rezon. He scared everybody away from Holly Hedges. Anybody that normally landed in that path said, no, I'm just going to go try my chance at Salty there. As we are now over to the Fortia, this is Mongrel, and he's been dropping here for a while. We know that. But he does not have Ocean's Burst AR and Ocean's Bottomless Chug Jug. Someone else may have snagged it from him, and with his aim and with what he can do with it, that Mythic Burst AR is so good here from him. It looks like he's not going to need it now, as he's going to get some tags going into this slide. That player going to have to back out. Mongol, though, not going to let him do it. He's got to be careful. He is running out of AR ammo, but he says, you know what? Who needs an AR? I got a shotgun and a crash pad. I'm going into the box. He is going to miss the jump a little bit, almost deploying a crash pad there, but the continued pressure that he's keeping up is trying to keep this player from going any higher. And it's Smudge just trying to get away. He's got a little sliver of HP, but Mongrel going to get in the box and do that Mongrel classic and get the elimination.
And he had to resolve that fight right away, because even picking that up with the additional match drop now only has 52 materials. And while he is in the zone, since it did pull towards that south side, he's going to need to find it. And with so many other players around this area, it's going to be really hard to max out quickly. But now, hop on board with our match number 1 winner. As you can see, the format in the right-hand side, each elimination being worth a point. You can see once you get into that top 10, you'll have 8 placement points going through, all the way up to 14 first. And you can see 11 to 15 is 7, 15 to 20 is 6, the intervals of 5, and the intervals of 10. And of course, you get that first placement point after the first 25 players have still plenty of players drop here, which generally is a little slower than you usually. Typically see a little more aggression going on. However, as you get further and further on in the tournament, the stakes and the players become that much more difficult to fight against, and it's really hard to confidently take an early fight, as we have Rax and the Costa Rican Sebi in a battle over here.
Ooh, and Rax on the back foot already. Now, this is that Weatherston just above Patty. And Sebi going in. The shots are going to go through. He's going to get the initial damage, and he's going to follow up with the AR. The crouch family is going to pay off for him. Elimination comes through, but now the question posed to Sebi is, can he go get his loot? Can he go get the shockwave launcher and that charged shotgun, or will he settle for some of the vault loot?
And generally, that's the goal, to go through, get whatever you can from the weather station, resolve the fight there, and then head down and hopefully pick up the remnants of whatever happened at Patty Corner. And now we'll run over to Authority. We'll be Letwith, and match number 1 was able to steal away that mythic glider grapple gun and rotate out. But now, match number 2, the Hardfind over on the side, and Hardfind looking to set up a trap and a bait. And we've seen it before a number of times, particularly around that vault area, where there are some areas you can't build. Players look to have just immediate drop, but Letwith is set up really well in terms of his close quarters combat. Just having that epic SMG as well as a tactical shotgun and a legendary pistol into a 3 really high rate of fire weapons that gives him plenty of ability to just spam and pressure Hardfind. Going to be looking for an ambush here in a second, but right now, both players just farming up.
And it seems like they're respecting each other's areas over this Authority. They kind of know, hey, he's going to be over here. I can tell by how he's looted. I know Ludwig's going to be on this side because I know how he looted from Hardfind's perspective. But concerning about this is the players that are around. Carrot is there as well. You have 2 other players on the side. And Ludwig is playing this very well. He's getting some things when he's standing still. So that's how the hits can act. They walk around, try to go hit others in their way, and then they'll stand close to him moving there. On the other side, we've got Wolfies who's going to fight against some Marauders. Hopefully he's able to get out of those. The Marauders are very, very potent. They shoot you, they don't think that you, and they just will try to eliminate you at all costs. And they've gotten very, very good aim, especially with that hunting rifle there in the inventory of the Deadeye Marauder. Wolfie's is pretty low, but he's got Art at pretty low as well, 150 HP. Now the Marauders are coming in here. The third party to fight. Sometimes the third party does not always have to be an actual player. It can be the AI. This is really good for Wolfie. He's allowing Marauders to go after this player and go after him or get the initial damage. But if he goes in, he's got to be careful. He can't look to go in right away with all these Marauders around. If he doesn't do any damage to him, it's going to be very, very, very hard to build through and walk through. As you see, the builds are going to get broken. This is bad for Wolfie. He needs to get rid of the Marauders. The shots are coming in down to 11 HP. He's only got 2 builds remaining. Quadrant place. He can't build anymore. Got a player right there for a little sniper shot. It's going to come out, and it does. But he goes down to a Marauder.
Vato getting kicked off there, but the Marauders catching Wolfie's out. No build, no natural cover nearby. Ardit soaking most of the aggression. Him opting to go down. Ardit will clean up all of that. So good heads-up plays by Wolfies to pick up the snipe, but the Marauders ultimately enacting their revenge there. And it can be so difficult when you get caught out by them, particularly in the open. The builds will target those and will try and take them out. You're definitely able to kind of ditch them and get rid of aggro when you're around some of the more natural cover on the map, those houses, the bridges, and the stuff that are nearby. But Vato not going to be happy about that. Just trying to get a little bit of a third-party tag there. And Wolfie's punishing him right before he goes down. Says, hey, if I'm going down, you're coming down with me. And will also deny a key elimination point that could have gone over to Ardit. So ultimately, he's going to be upset his game is over, but at least he was able to pick up a little bit. He's now back on board here with Flois. And as we can see, he's used to fast starts, placing first with 5 elims in game 1 of Peaks as well. So let's see if he can turn this confidence into something more, as he is over on the northeast side of the zone with plenty of players around him. However, he has priority on the rotation, but not a ton of materials to really do it. You don't want to be forced to burn those metal and the brick here. We refer to those as the hard materials, because once they get built up, they provide that much more defense for you. However, they're so much harder to get naturally as we move through the map that Bo is finding Cammy there, and you can see immediately he's going to head over there because he's like, hey, I need those maps. I need those refreshers. When we talk about refresher in the term, this is it, because that's going to be refreshing for him.
What a shot and a heads-up play by Flois. He desperately needed that, as well as his ammo was pretty low, too. 374 AR, that's not enough going into an in-game competitive Fortnite game. You definitely want to have a little bit more like Noah Riley here. Again, takes off Mr. Savage and now has the loot to show for it. They got coming in touch with his loot. He's got this player down, though, with those tags. But the big shield's going to be popped there. Now Noah has to be careful. He wants to go aggressive. His instinct is to push in with that crash pad and get the aggressive play. That player back up to full HP. He's got to be careful. Shots go through the edit. Not going to connect on the shots there. Noah over the top. Shot come through with 71 tag there for Noah. And now he's going in crash pad in. It doesn't matter though. The crash pad is actually going to send him away. He's got to keep the pressure up to keep this player from popping any shields. And he's got the player back and forth, up and down, up and down. He's got the crash pad. He's going in. Shots are going to come through. The player puts the stair with the top of his head. And another good tag there. Noah's not able to find him. Noah's not able to finish him off. This player continuously layer changing, going up and down in between the builds. And Hydro is just trying to run for their life.
Hydro trying to put as much distance as possible, and unfortunately going to go down there. Good job for Noah Riley on the chase. We talk about how important it is to resolve fights, particularly because you don't want that opponent burning those resources. But when you do take them down, they'll drop them there, and you want to get as much as possible. And you can see Noah picking up all of the mini hits, back up the stick. Good job, so it's 4 crash pads. And one thing you'll note in particular when you're looking at these mid-game fights is what you should be keeping an eye on. Anytime a player has crash pads, that will enable them to push in the boxes. You've seen it in 2 different ways, both from the top down, where they throw it against one of those cones to let them fall in, and then a perfect example, thank you Ross Jones for showing it right there, winning the fight against Hardfine very closely with 6 HP. That's a horizontal crash pad where you line yourself up on the corner of the wall, you throw it against that corner, and it'll end up landing right behind you, and it pushes you forward into the box. but it won't affect the other player. So it allows you to line up your shots ahead of time, and most times they'll also put you behind them. They're not able to play defensively. As Orange trying to play defensively here, but Bafo just comes in and says, hey, you didn't have enough time to reset and get your shields up. I will take all that loot. Thank you very much.
And that's the dangers of taking the big game fight is if you take any damage, you're going to get third party. Players are going to recognize that shield crack sound, and they're going to move in. But on the other hand, look at Lewick. He took that fight, got out, and now is on the move. The Carrot is setting up an ambush for the shots coming through. Lewick has been cracking. Look at the box separation that he just did there from Carrot. Gonna try and trying to pop him, and he's just there with the pop. It's not his. He does get a nice layer trade coming out in